to our first tutorial video on the separable differential equations. So pretty much differential equations are pretty much like slopes of a function, which you can plug into slope fields. It usually appears on every FRQs each year for the AP test. So when you come across these FRQs, or even sometimes multiple choice, you want to go through these 5 steps. So step number 1, you want to separate the variables of x and y, or whatever variables that they give you. And when you do that, you want to use correct algebra. So let's say if you have dy dx equals negative x to the y, or negative xy, you want to leave your negative on the right side. That just helps out the simplification a lot more. And then step number 2, you want to integrate both sides, and you want to watch out for signs of it. So like with the negative, if you do the integral of it, make sure to take out the negative outside of it when you do. And then don't forget your binaries of n plus c when you do integrate.
Okay. After you integrate both sides, you want to solve for y. So right here, we would divide y by both sides. So we would be left with 1 over y dy equals negative x dx. So we would integrate that. And then we would be left with ln of absolute value of y. Don't forget the absolute value. Equals negative x squared over 2 and plus c. There should be a plus c on this side too, but we can all move it to the right side since they're constants. So in order to get y by itself, you have to put an e on both sides. Okay, to get rid of this absolute value sign, we write y equals, and then this can be rewritten as e to the negative x squared over 2 times e to the c. And then we know that if you have the same base, you can add its exponents. So this will be y equals e to the negative x squared over 2. We put a c out here. So this turns out to be 2 equals c because a number to the 0 power is always 1. So we get 2 equals c. And we substitute it back into our equation, leaving us with y equals 2e to the negative x squared over 2, which is our answer.
So on this part of the video, we're going to be talking about some common mistakes that people usually make on tests on FRQs during several differential equations. One mistake that they can make is the signs of it, because the best way to deal with the signs in any differential equation is to keep it on the right side. So when you separate it, you want to keep the negative on the right side. So you have negative x dx. And that makes the simplification a whole lot easier and can actually make it go a lot quicker in your simplification. And another is the square root. Because if you get to this part of the separable d, you're already in a good spot. But you can also mess it up and lose the whole point on your FRQ if you don't do this. Because if you can say y equals, and you take the square root of both sides. But don't forget, you have to do a positive and a negative of that square root of 8x.
Okay, separable DEs are really easy problems, but if you mess up on your algebra, then it could turn into a total disaster. So right here, you really need to be careful on whether to divide the y or multiply it. In this case, we would divide it. And we would be left with 1 over y dy equals negative 4x to the 5th dx. Another problem you could run into, it could say dy dx equals negative 4x to the 5th over y, in which case you have to multiply y by both sides. So you can see y dy is completely different from 1 over y dy, so you have to be really careful about your algebra. Another mistake students make is with absolute value. Whenever you get your general solution, or whenever you're approaching to get it, you need to remember to put the absolute value sign because, as we know, absolute value turns everything positive, and a positive answer is completely different from a negative answer. You can get rid of the absolute value sign whenever you have your general solution, in which the c gets pulled to the front, like this.